We have another very, very serious thing that happened this week, and that is this back and forth with Trump over abortion. So there's a huge debate going on right now in America because, for instance, Lila Rose has called out President Trump in very stark terms, as have we at LifeSite, but she's getting bashed by all sorts of people, Catholics included. And I don't think any pro-life activist who is so shocked by what Trump said, and I'm going to get to that in a second, is saying, oh, you have to vote for this candidate or not this. That's not what it's about. But the shock to see where the Republicans have gone is what's going on. And if we're not willing to call it out, this is going to mean trouble. And it's very serious. So first of all, this week, Trump let go on Truth Social that his administration, and I quote, will be great for women and their reproductive rights, end quote. Now, you could say, well, that's shtick for abortion. But you could say, hey, reproductive rights, that's good. You're talking about right for a woman to be able to get pregnant, like in some places they're restricted from, or something like that. Okay, not okay, because it was made clear by J.D. Vance, who is so sad. He's supposed to be a Catholic convert, but he just said the most horrific stuff. And I want you to listen to it for yourself.
Abortion. Sure. Democrats made the case this week and beyond this week that Donald Trump, if elected, will impose a federal ban on abortion if he wins. Now, Donald Trump says he won't, but can you commit, Senator, sitting right here with me today, that if you and Donald Trump are elected, that you will not impose a federal ban on abortion?
I can absolutely commit that, Kristen. And Donald Trump has been as clear about that as possible. I think it's important to step back and say, what has Donald Trump actually said on the abortion question, and how is it different from what Kamala Harris and the Democrats have said? Donald Trump wants to end this culture war over this particular topic. If California wants to have a different abortion policy from Ohio, then Ohio has to respect California and California has to respect Ohio. Donald Trump's view is that we want the individual states and their individual cultures and their unique political sensibilities to make these decisions because we don't want to have a nonstop federal conflict over this issue. The federal government ought to be focused on getting food prices down, getting housing prices down, issues, of course, where Kamala Harris has been a total disaster. So I think Donald Trump is right. We want the federal government to focus on these big economic and immigration questions. Let the states figure out their own abortion policy.
And that's not it. It's just not that they are going to, or they're not supportive of a ban on abortion. They're not going to oppose that. They're not going to impose that. It gets much worse. Watch this. He says that Trump would veto an abortion ban. Listen.
If such a piece of legislation landed on Donald Trump's desk, would he veto it?
Well, I think it'd be very clear he would not support it. I mean, he said that explicitly. Yeah, if you're not supporting it as the president of the United States, you fundamentally have to veto it.
Veto a federal abortion ban.
I think he would. He said that explicitly that he would.
This is absolutely terrible. It's sad as anything. But I wanted, Father, you to give us, what are we to do? I mean, the U.S. situation is there's two candidates for president. You've got one and the other. They're both obviously now pro-abortion, but there's a difference still. How are Catholics to determine what they're to do? A lot of Catholics, or Christians, pro-lifers anyways, are going to think to themselves, why would I even bother going to vote? What's your advice for them, Father?
No, you have to vote. You have to vote. It's like the people who are writing me daily. They want to leave the Catholic Church because of all of the chaos and Rome's position on this and that. No, you can't. Don't leave. You stay in. The problem that we have, according to me, is with the Republican Party. It is not the Republican Party. There's a division in the Republican Party, and it's a strong one. There are two different parties in the Republican Party. One is pro-life, one is not. And they're very much opposed to each other. This is the difficulty that the Republicans have had for an awful long time. This has been going on for decades. I've got to say this on a personal note, and I should say I don't mean him any personal harm by saying it. As a matter of fact, I would say it in the spirit of an invitation to Vice Presidential candidate Vance. Whoever gave him instruction in the Catholic faith, I think maybe he missed a couple of the RCIA lessons. I don't know what it was, but I don't believe that it was absolutely a good instruction in the faith. Every once in a while he says things that are they're very strange for a new convert, because a new convert is full of zeal usually. from my experience anyway. A new convert is almost more Catholic than the Pope, as we used to say, which it doesn't have the same impact today. I'm sorry.
J.D. Vance is certainly more Catholic than the Pope, even if his most bizarre transports.
I have quite a number of people I know.
I'd probably say that statue of Handyman is more Catholic than the Pope as well, to be honest. I put a bet on that tonight.
Well, you've got a major point, yes. You're right. But the point is...
That joke isn't funny anymore, folks.
No, it's not funny. I'm laughing because it's not funny. Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. But the point is that usually a convert to the faith, a new convert, is more zealous to defend the faith. I think this, from what I've heard of Vance, and he said a few things like this. He doesn't seem to get it. It's concerning to me. And I would really invite him to find a good priest, seriously, to sit down with and discuss some moral matters. There is also a time that's on the religious level. On a political level, and I don't pretend to be a politician, though we're all of us a little bit of a politician. There are times not to speak. There are times to shut up. There are times not to say things and make things worse. And I don't think that he knows that either. That somebody needs to sit down with him. He's a good man. I'm not saying that. I really am impressed with his goodness. I think he's a good man. But I think that he's unaware of a few things, and somebody should really sit down with him and explain a few things so that he gets things clear. If he's clear on matters and then goes off and says what he wants to say, and they're of this ilk, well, that's another thing. But I don't think he's clear. It's clear within him. I don't think he's got it together. He's not asking me for forgiveness, but I do forgive him anyway, a little bit. But I wish he would get some clarification, some help on these matters.
Catholicism is essentialist. It's essentialist in the fact that it asserts that the essence of reality and its ultimate source is God. And its argument for life isn't attributed. They're not verbal arguments which are subject to change, as liberals and the Rawlsian and Peter Singer system do. It's essential. There is an essential and inalterable value to human life. And this is a simple and basic principle. And if you violate that, then that's basically a violation of Catholic doctrine. It's essentialist. It means you can't change it. It doesn't matter what your opinions are. It doesn't matter whether you like the people or whether you think it's convenient or anything like that. So it's simply inalterable. I mean, Edward Fraser makes that a good point. And he also says that, because Edward Fraser is a very good theologian, he's a Thomist, wrote a very good book about Aquinas. He said that, of course, there are political expediency arguments, but these measures exceed even those. It is a dreadful thing to do. I mean, of course, Vance himself has approved, I think, very recently, mifepristone, the over-the-counter abortifacient as well. There was no need for him to do this. Now, I mean, I suppose on the side of the political expediency argument, you could point out that almost half, if not half, the states of the United States have now either banned abortion or taken steps to restrict it extremely severely. So the overturning of Roe v. Wade was a step in a very good direction towards delegitimizing the routine and convenient murder of unborn children. It is regrettable that these softening remarks have been made, if that's what they are. But I think Father Murr is right to show that Vance's Catholic formation is questionable at best, especially on this issue. I'd agree that he does seem to have some very good instincts, and his opposition to the international industry of death that is the permanent war business of regime change is extremely encouraging. But this isn't. And if we don't speak for life, no one else will. It's important that these people are held to account and that they are told to remember that life has an essential value and it doesn't change according to political expedience.
So the United States is really under pressure now, and you see it in all sorts of ways. But this week we saw a very strange thing.